We're going to unpack a document that's been a bit of a cornerstone of how we think about finance, investing, and ultimately the role we play as advisors. The document we'll be discussing Mensuram Bonum. This document isn't written as a technical investment manual. It's not giving us portfolio models or asset allocation guidances. What it's doing is stepping back and asking us more fundamental of a question, which is, what is investing actually for?
I think it's really cool to have a document like this that's able to articulate and call out this need for us to understand what money is for, what capital is for, what that distinction creates, and to what end these things should be done. It's not just you have this stuff and you have to layer on this complication of Catholic social teaching if you want to be a good Catholic, or if you want to invest faithfully or have faith-based investing. The real call out here is to have a faith-based paradigm of what money is and what capital is. You need to see finance as a school of virtue.
I think it's a false idea to think that you can choose not to think about these things. Benedict XVI corrected the notion that economics can function independently of ethics.
Each and every investment gives tangible expression to values that either contribute to the future or forsake it.
There's like a domino effect.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people will be saving for retirement, or they'll be putting these monies away for the future. And they think, well, the future's going to be better if I have more money. But they don't necessarily think, is the future going to be better if I've given money to a bunch of these companies that actually don't in any way, shape, or form embody the values that I believe in, embody the values that I actually think make life worth living.
And I think that's the whole point, is just saying, what are the ends of this? What are we doing? What's the point?
Welcome to the Old Life Podcast. All right, who wants to start for banter? Because I actually, right as I was...
you go. It sounds like you're eager to go.
So right as I was leaving the house, I remembered, oh yeah, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah.
And since we all love pints of Aquinas, I figured I'd raid the alcohol cabinet and find anything that said Irish on it.
So you got whiskey?
So I have whiskey. I have Guinness and I have Baileys. If we would like to partake. Otherwise, I don't have banter.
No.
I'm sure the alcohol.
Otherwise,
will
I
help
have no
them in.
podcast material.
Well, I got a little bit of coffee, so you might as well put a little bit of Bailey's in it.
Yeah, you need
All right.
Baileys.
Okay, perfect. Let's sort out this.
I'm a lightweight, so half of what you think I should have.
All right. You know what? I will let you do the pouring
Okay.
there.
Oh, it's not. It's not even cracked open yet.
Yeah. Sean has gone with the whiskey, which means I will go with the Guinness.
Is it chilled enough?
It is, yes.
Nice.
So we host a summer barbecue for our clients. And if any clients are listening, you haven't been invited, I'm sorry. We're limited on numbers. Anyway.
That's hilarious.
First summer, I brought a case of beer. All sorts of beer. I didn't know what people were going to want. But I had, whatever, half a dozen Guinness. And those went right away. And everything else is kind of picked over and a bunch of stuff left behind. But
I just consumed the last of it. I think it was like a blended iced tea of some sort.
Oh, and that's 2 years ago from that one.
so
Yeah.
I just finished it. That's how heavy.
Yeah,
of a
nobody
drinker
liked
I am.
that. Yeah, so I thought, okay, people like Guinness. So the subsequent year, I loaded up on Guinness. And I also, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I got the, what's that Irish cream pale ale?
Kilkenny's?
Kilkenny's, yes.
I love that.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, apparently everybody else does too.
Yeah.
And when you have a Kilkenny's next to a Guinness, nobody wants Guinness.
Really?
Everybody wants
Okay,
Kilkenny's.
I'll be honest. Out of a can, I do prefer a Kilkenny. And I only say this because I had this on Sunday with my brother, who is an engineer and studying for an exam. And I'm like, hey, you're an engineer. You should have a beer. But yeah, I have to say it's quite good. It is quite good.
Yeah, well, okay, so Guinness next to a bunch of hard iced teas.
Mm-hmm.
People will take Guinness, not touch the hard iced teas.
So we're gonna run a similar experiment next.
Well, what's
next
going to happen this
session?
coming summer?
Yeah,
Have we
okay.
booked that yet?
No, I gotta book that.
AJ, we talked about this weeks ago. I will buy lots of Kilkenny, and I will get something else,
What are you going to pair it
and we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Whatever
with?
they
Sell
have
the
at the
market
time.
data.
Yeah. We'll see if Kilkenny is just as popular or not.
Cool.
All right. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers, indeed.
Or what do they say in Irish? Slunja?
Bailey's doesn't even taste like alcohol. It's dangerous.
No. Have you had a baby Guinness?
No. What's baby Guinness?
It's where you give a baby Guinness.
No, it's a shot of Kahlua and Bailey's.
Okay.
And that's deadly. It is just.
I'm sure that doesn't taste like it. Doesn't just pure sugar.
It is just pure sugar.
Okay.
But it's so it's sweet. It's literally like hot chocolate in a shot. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were talking about spring break for my kids for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This week is the beginning of that. My wife and one of my daughters are out to Fort McMurray, so shout out to those who are fans in Fort McMurray / clients, perhaps.
There we go.
You'd mentioned your sister is on spring break as well. Any plans with the family?
They're in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Loving
you were not there.
No. Well, I'll be heading out on Thursday, but right now they're loving the tropical storm.
Oh.
Yeah, they've been, I think, indoors for the majority of the time there.
When did they arrive?
Dropped them off last Thursday.
Okay.
So they've had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and now recording today. And it sounds like, well, the beach is mostly being closed because of the wind and weather, like all red flag days. My sister and I actually, last time I was there in first year university, decided it'd be fun to go out, even though it was a red flag day, which basically means the undertow is so bad, like it'll pull anything out. All of the waves are so choppy that the water is just brown, which is not what you think of when you think of a beautiful tropic blue water. No, it's like waves crashing hard. Water is just filled with sand. Like you'll get like a sand bath
Right.
if you go through there. And so my sister and I'm like, yeah, like let's try it. Let's see kind of what happens. Like it can't be that bad. Go into the water, you know, ducking under waves because that's what you do when you go out. And then we realized how far away from the shore we were. And like, maybe we should try and swim back. And so we're going and going.
Good thing
and
you're strong
going.
swimmers.
Yeah, thankfully. But yeah, that's when I learned, maybe red flag days aren't the most fun. Because yeah, you duck under these waves and the undertow is just pulling and pulling and pulling. Yeah.
What's planned while you're out there?
Um,
Hopefully the weather is more agreeable.
Yeah, talk to JM because he grew up in Kona. So he gave us all like the locations. And it's fun because, I mean, this will be, I think, my 7th time
Oh, wow.
going to
You've been regularly.
the Bay Island. Yeah. My parents kind of fell in love with it when I was in grade 6. And at that time, it was a very reasonable price for going. Like, we could get the whole family there if you book flights far enough out in advance for a pretty reasonable offer. So it's fun because he'd be able to tell me some of the spots that he grew up around. I'm like, okay, I know where that's close to, and that sort of thing. Because I mean, it's one highway that goes around it. If you know like one or two places, like you know where the Costco is, you know where the pier is, maybe you know like one or two hotels, and you're like, yeah, I can.
I'm surprised there's a
situate
Costco
everything.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's usually that's the most Hawaiian of the islands, I hear. So I figured like it's reserved from anything extra special commercial.
parts of it, like from what I've seen, Kona itself, they have like a resort that's further away from the airport, maybe 20 minutes away from the airport, and most tourists will end up staying there. Yeah, you have a Costco, which people will go to, because you still have a decent number of tourists who will go, or not even tourists, but people who live there for part of the year, and it just really helps people to buy bulk. Yeah, so he's got a couple different ideas, a couple different hikes, a couple beaches that we haven't been to, which is cool because we've hit most of them.
Nice.
Places, yeah, for snorkeling, good places for food. I think that's actually what I'm most looking forward to, is having some Hawaiian mixed plate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mac, rice,
Yep.
and like I don't know, beef galbi.
Yeah, like loco moco, all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
I make that at home sometimes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
that
good.
too terribly difficult.
No,
but
it's
the
not,
kids
but
love
it's
it.
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. And then mud pie, which apparently is just like,
Is that a staple in Hawaii? The mud pie?
I don't know, I've not had it. It's just what JM recommended.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's like chocolate ice cream with some other stuff. And then there's something else in it. I think it was, like ice cream with like shaved ice around it as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, lots of different fun things to try.
I hear malasadas.
Yes.
Pretty big out there. Too.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's like a Portuguese donut, like influence from the Portuguese out there. So basically, it's just it's extra huge, and they put like so much filling in it, and it'd be like tropical fillings like, I don't know, guava and like mango and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they're good. Any of them like fresh baked. There's one like just for anyone who's listening who's been to Hawaii, like the pull-out by Hapuna Beach. This is where you're
Watch
supposed to
someone
go to
from
get them.
Hawaii message us like, no, that's not the place to go.
Hey, this is what we've found, and this is what JM said. So I'm gonna put that one on JM if anything.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got stuff on deck. I heard monster trucks.
Oh, we're going to Monster Trucks.
And you got
Nice.
hockey this week too.
Courtesy of Mr. Sanson.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a busy March. Not because of spring break, just coincidental. And then, what else have we been doing lately?
When's the monster truck thing? Because I haven't
It's
heard.
the
about
next
it.
week.
Is the next week?
After, it's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday.
Is that a rite of passage for all young gentlemen watching like the Grave Digger and what are
Is
the
the
other
Great
big?
Steer still going?
I think they changed the driver.
Okay,
Yeah.
but still the same truck.
Yeah.
What was the big?
I think they have to repaint it every time. Doesn't it get torn apart?
Oh,
Don't they all get
probably.
torn
Yeah, I
apart?
imagine it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were the other?
I've never
famous
been. I've
trucks?
never been to a monster truck rally. This will be my rite of passage.
Oh.
And then, for hockey, just bring in the older two kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for monster trucks, we're all going.
Nice.
From the 1-year-old, the 3-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old, the
You'll get
9-year-old,
splattered in
11-year-old.
mud.
We're too far back for that.
But the kids will run up anyway, or maybe like it'll just spray up that high up. They are big trucks.
Yeah. In the splash zone, sort of like at the aquarium.
Never wash the shirt. Keep it framed.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
Have you ever been to a WWE WWF event here in Vancouver? Or whatnot?
No.
I've been to a very further down the tiers
Was it like
wrestling
Cloverdale
event.
Wrestling? Like
This was in Winnipeg.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I remember those other elite. Like it was basically the show before WWF or WWE would have their showing, but more local.
Yeah, local people, and actually I had a friend. He was just really into wrestling, like way too into wrestling, and he would get on message boards, like around the time message boards started even being a thing,
Right.
and he would give the wrestlers such a hard time, like all these horrible comments and things.
So time before Reddit, then is what I'm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then he would go to the shows and heckle them, and like he just knew everybody and all the different like subplots, and like even if this like really amateur level wrestlers, like nobody else is doing this. This is just you.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing we've been doing lately. So the older two kids, we've been watching the Star Wars
Oh, okay.
Nice.
movies,
Nice.
which were my favorite movies growing up.
So the original.
Yeah.
trilogy.
We're going through them in order of release.
Yeah.
Got it. That's
so,
the best.
So 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and I might not even show them
No.
7, 8, 9.
No.
Okay.
I
thought
think
about
the
that.
only reason why I like 7 is because that was the first Star Wars movie that I ever got to see in theater.
Mm.
And it was so cool, and it starts, and then you get to the end of it, and you're like, the lightsaber battles were way cooler, like 2 generations ago. What happened? You know?
7, 8, 9. I saw them all in the theater as an adult,
Yeah.
and I liked them in the moment. And then coming out of the theater or just having time to think about it, I realized I actually don't like them very
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
Really?
yeah.
Oh.
They kind of undermine the plot of.
Oh, you
4,
mean
5,
7,
6
8,
in some
9, or the
ways.
original?
7, 8, 9.
Ah,
7,
yeah.
8, 9. I mean, they
It's
were
a blur. After the original 3, I kind of vaguely remember like the release of the other 3, and
yeah.
7, 8, 9, I don't remember.
So I was growing up very attached to the original trilogy, my favorite movie.
You had it on Laserdisc.
I
Bring it
had
on.
all like the special edition and
Oh,
the super
yes.
special edition. Yeah, all of them, right?
Yes.
So I was very attached to those, and so when they released 1, 2, 3, they could never live up to the attachment I had to the original 3. But now that I've gone back and watched them with the kids, they're actually pretty good. Like The Phantom Menace
Oh, yeah.
is a good movie.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so we're watching Empire Strikes Back. All right, and it's Cloud City, the big reveal, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. And I'm just so excited for my kids, right? Like that I get to experience this again
Yeah,
with them
yes.
for the first time, right? And they, it's building up to the moment. Darth Vader says, there's something Obi-Wan never told you about your father. And then Ambrose says, what, is Darth Vader's father or something? And I just looked at him like, first of all, you ruined it. Second of all, how did you ever figure this out?
Yeah, right.
I was so shocked in the moment. Like I was so, I distinctly recall finding that out and being so shocked that he's just like, and my kids are sheltered children. They're not like, we've seen all the movies and we know all this plot lines or whatever. He's seen like 4 other movies in his life.
Did he share how he came to that conclusion?
He
Or he just blurted it out?
He
just
said
a
just the
shot
way
in the dark?
the Darth Vader was talking about it. It made me think that like, oh, maybe it's just him. Yeah, I don't know. He just intuitively figured it out.
Wow.
Very astute.
So I have that scene has given me multiple shocks in my life. Right when I actually found out the truth, and when my son was cleverer than I and figured it out before I could at his age.
That is hilarious.
Wow.
That is hilarious. Well, okay. Should we transition and deep dive into Mensuram Bonum?
I'm happy to. This is AJ. You've got the lead on this.
Oh, okay. I'll do my best. So.
He's got notes prepared.
I got notes prepared. I'm going to refer to them and I'll ad lib into. So today's conversation is important to us. We're going to unpack a document that's been a bit of a cornerstone of how we think about finance, investing, and ultimately the role we play as advisors. The document we'll be discussing Mensuram Bonum. This document isn't written as a technical investment manual. It's not giving us portfolio models or asset allocation guidances. What it's doing is stepping back and asking us more fundamental of a question, which is, what is investing actually for? So what's quite interesting is this document is who it's really aimed at. It's written for Catholics, specifically those entrusted with capital. That includes institutions, advisors, and individual investors. In other words, people like us, and people like many of us who are listening. So in speaking directly to those who aren't just managing money, a reminder that we're stewards of it. It basically says investing is not neutral. Every decision you make is shaping the world in some way. For the 3 of us, this has been a key reference point. It's helped us sharpen how we think about the intersection of both faith and finance, not in a theoretical sense, but in a day-to-day reality of our client conversations, portfolio decisions, long-term planning. So today, we're not going to try to cover the whole document. I think that would be too ambitious to cover it all in one document. I mean, we've tried that with encyclicals, and it ends up being like a 5-part series of some sort. So maybe this will follow suit in the same way. But instead, we're going to zero in on some foundational ideas at the center of it. I thought it'd be good to eventually land on the dignity of the human person and common good. But before we do that, I had mentioned to Sean to tell a story of sorts. And I like the story, but
There's no story.
there's no
no
story.
no
about it.
story.
But you were the first one who brought up this document to us.
Yeah.
And I still find it interesting how even have we conversed about it. But
Harold told me. That's it. There's no story.
but it's not common that people would come across this document. Like, I mean, it was,
Harold's a special person,
yeah.
He is.
and I'm fortunate to know him. But there is no other story beyond that.
But even the document before that, because you brought up another document, which was the one from the U.S. Catholic bishops, and that was perhaps our central document prior to Mensuram.
That's right.
Yeah, which was also sourced by Harold, apparently.
No. I knew about that before Harold.
Okay.
I don't remember how I found that one. I think I probably found it just searching Google.
Okay.
I came across it.
Yeah.
And then that one was originally written some time ago, I think in the 90s. And then they rehashed it, I think updated it more recently.
How many versions of that is out there?
I believe 2, just
Okay.
those 2. Yeah, the US CCB guidelines on morally responsible investing, which is a good document. But then, yeah, the Vatican Department of
The Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences?
There you go.
PASS. PASS. Because I've
PASS.
messed it up a couple times, but
Okay.
PASS is the acronym.
Yeah, there you go. I came out with this one, which is compared to the US CCB document is sort of much more plainly written and kind of to the point, and this one is much more philosophical. Like, what is the point of all this? What are we even trying to do here?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it gives a better framework from which to think about these things and sort of arrive at your own conclusions. And the other one's kind of more meat and potatoes, which are both necessary. Meat and potatoes. Yeah, okay. Take it away, AJ.
Cool. I just basically highlighted a bunch of things
Yeah.
that I thought would be helpful for our conversation. But before we do that, Anthony, you have any thoughts or add on to?
I think, yeah, most of what I've got here is just underlined things and different high level ideas. And I think, AJ, to your point about us taking our time to get through this, I think it's good for us to take our time to go through this because we've done multiple podcasts on what gets touched on. Our reading assignment was just until page 9 of this, which really just covers the introduction to what is money all about? What does it mean to work in finance, which is essentially the management of money? To what end are we actually doing these things? And I think since reading this document for the first time almost 3 years ago, this was pretty life-changing for me just in terms of how I view finance and what I wanted to do with work. But then as well, being able to learn more about philosophy and learn more about the history of money and the history of where our economy is, and being a young person who's trying to navigate the world of finance, and as well being a young person who's going to be getting married at the end of the year and having to face up to the cost of life and kind of understanding, well, why do things cost this? Like, what has led us into this situation? I think it's really cool to have a document like this that's able to articulate and basically call out this need for us to understand what money is for, what capital is for, what that distinction creates, and to what end these things should be done. Yeah, I'll leave it at that because I think there's a lot of good material that we can get into and discuss here. So
There's a lot of good material. But can I start with a complaint I have?
Yeah.
Okay. And this reflects on my, shortcomings as an intellectual thinker, whereas, more of a practitioner of these things with no philosophical training. And for anyone like me in that situation, trying to read this document and you come across sentences like, okay, I'm going to read one.
yeah, go for it.
As spoken by Jesus in Luke's gospel, the good measure has multiple implications. It refers to the personal and social surplus to be realized when human relations leaven existing norms of reciprocity with the mercy and forgiveness gifted by God. I read that and I have no idea what that means. And those kind of things are like sprinkled through here. And it's kind of like, most things that come out of the Vatican, there's things where I'm like, I understand what all those words mean, but you put them together in that order and I'm like, I don't know what this sentence means. That I want to bring that up to say, like, don't let that hold you back from what is actually a really good document full of treasures, full of good ways to think about things. If you come across these things, these very high-minded, philosophical, but, to the normal person, meaningless sentences.
I would echo the same. I mean, in reading this particular document, and you kind of alluded to it as well, Anthony, is that to someone who hasn't given this much thought is like, oh yeah, money is just meant to be spent, and like, okay, it's just a part of life. But giving a little bit more meaning to what money actually means and the influence that we have and the decisions that we make with it, how we spend it, how we invest it, and drawing more attention to give it a little bit more thought of what money actually does and can mean for the common good.
Yeah. At that, should we start reading some of our favorite quotes? Because I noticed that you have a quote that comes right before my first quote that I underlined.
So then you go first.
No, you're
I go
supposed to go first. Yeah, because you have this, and I think we both have
This one?
I think so from the looks of it. Yeah.
Okay. So in the second paragraph of the foreword, as agents of institutions and individuals, people may be entrusted with assets to invest rather than merely spent.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I underlined first, kind of saying like money versus capital, that distinction, good use and stewardship were the ideas that were highlighted there. Yeah, obviously, AJ, like you pointed out at the very beginning of this, that this document is for people who are entrusted with money. And I think that's the first, like understanding what the foreword does for this paper is you have to understand what paradigm you should have coming into this. And it's not I want to make as much money as possible.
Right.
It needs to be this idea of like, hey, you're reading this as an agent of an institution or an individual or someone who's just entrusted with assets to be invested rather than merely spent. And we've talked about this distinction between money and capital before, where money is what should be used for day to day. It goes into spending for necessities, basic needs, and those sorts of things, providing for your family. But also you have capital. You have something that is in excess of that. You have, be it savings, or you've just been entrusted with extra. And that capital needs to be put to good use. It's not a matter of making more for the sake of making more. It's a matter of you are the moral agent, right? Money in itself is not good. And so the paradigm that is being articulated here, the worldview, is that you have this gift and you're meant to put it to good use. From that, how do we put it to good use? It's not just you have this stuff and you have to layer on this complication of Catholic social teaching if you want to be a good Catholic, or if you want to invest faithfully or have faith-based investing. The real call out here is to have a faith-based paradigm of what money is and what capital is. You need to see finance as a school of virtue. And at the end of this paragraph here, it says, like, ideally, you want to be serving the common good, respecting justice, and ethical standards amidst all of it. But that first paradigm is that you are the moral agent who makes the having of this money good or bad. It's not having it that makes it good. It's spending it well. It's using it well. It's investing it well.
To me, it speaks of like the sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
To give thought to what that actually is. And also in this document, it speaks out to the importance of the gospel and Catholic social teaching, but also a call out in which these decisions should be rooted in both faith and within reason.
Yeah.
As well.
I also love the second footnote here, and I'll read it verbatim. It says, finance is an important sector of the economy, which embraces several activities, including investing. However, as an activity, finance must actively be at the service of the real economy and not be used solely as a means of unproductive speculation. Now, our most recent podcast, we talked about investing versus gambling, and consistently we talk about wanting to, or the temptation to simply accumulate for the sake of accumulation. And going back to Benjamin Graham, who's a great value investor, who's the teacher of Warren Buffett, he defines speculation as buying something, expecting somebody to pay more for it. And I think oftentimes that's the shortcut trap that we can get into when we just want to accumulate things, right? We just want to buy something not because we actually enjoy it or think it's good, but because we think somebody else might pay something more for it in the future. And that is in essence what's going on here. And this is right in the second footnote to say that, finance should not be, or investing should be at the service of the real economy and not just a means of accumulation, right? And very much saying like unproductive speculation. Like you really have to be aware of, well, where is this going? Is this furthering the world? Is this contributing to the common good, respecting justice and ethical standards? Or am I just doing this out of the want for accumulation?
Well, and just on that point too, I think it's a false idea to think that you can choose not to think about these things.
Oh, 100%.
Like Benedict, as the document says in page 6, he quoting Benedict XVI, Benedict XVI corrected the notion that economics can function independently of ethics.
Yes, and it's interesting because the context for that was after the 2008 financial crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool because it says like it's like right here in the middle of the world. Like this is what happens when we separate these two things and make accumulation
the priority.
Yeah. But where even going back to like the paradigm that this forward is articulating, it's where does that stem from? It stems from this idea that man is a merely material creature who isn't created for anything of a higher purpose. And as a merely material creature, then it would suggest that all the longings of the heart can be satiated by just having material things. But obviously we're not. Like we're social creatures, we're ethical creatures, we're moral creatures, created in the image and likeness of God. So we need to have a worldview that encompasses that.
Mm-hmm. And that even if you're not thinking about these things, the consequences of your actions are independent of the thought you've given to them.
Yeah.
Meaning, just because you might think to yourself like, oh, it's not important, or it's not related, or I have no consequence, they're intrinsically linked, whether you've thought it through or not, whether you've really debated the moral implications or not.
Yeah.
It's like the Rush song, Free Will.
Sing it for us, Sean.
If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Yeah.
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 Like no matter what, you're trapped.
You choose not to choose, which is still a choice.
Which is still a choice. Yeah. So you choose not to think about it, but you can't. You've chosen to potentially make the wrong decision. Right. You can't just forsake it because it's too much to think about, or you just prefer it not to have a consequence.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because it goes back to what we're learning in Laborem Exercens of this intellectual workbench that faces most white-collar professionals, where the toil of the work isn't necessarily in the physical exertion, or the physical difficulty of whatever it is that you're doing. Like you're not using a shovel to move dirt. You are faced with, well, is this moral? Is this ethical? And that's what this document is really starting to pull out in the foreword and the intro. Which I love and respect, because I think that it really sets the tone. It gives you a very good foundation for what's going to be articulated later on and an understanding of what's going to go on later on.
I guess the document also kind of encourages, hey, if you haven't given this much thought, to consider this proposition, an encouragement to those amongst the faithful to like, hey, how would this actually look like? How do we implement these like, do we implement a Catholic moral filter or consider applying that in the investing process?
Yeah.
It kind of speaks of like kind of our work, in which we couldn't find anything like that here in Canada, in which is like, hey, can we do this because it's important to us, and beginning there. And that's kind of like the beginning of your work originally in founding our work with Servium, and even prior to, Sean. Sean's give us a thumbs up.
Yeah. What else do we have in the forward here that we can discuss?
Oh yeah, I like this phrase. The true norm for progress and for the economy is the flourishing of humanness.
What does
Which
that mean?
I think a word they made up for
Are you
this.
serious?
And then later, kind of along the same vein, Pope Benedict XVI writes that business activity has a human significance prior to its professional one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point, is just saying, what are the ends of this? What are we doing? What's the point, right? It's not to make money as the true end of any of these things, of, financial decisions, economic decisions, professional decisions. It's, hold on, let me go back.
Humanness? What
The
was that?
humanness, to further the human, right? It's for somebody, right? It's not for something. It's what are the consequences of these decisions and the impact on somebody's life, right? Improving the quality of living for a person, or just making sure that those ends truly come before the means. And we think about the end consequences of all of our actions, our investment actions, our spending actions, our professional actions. The ends should always be a person and their life.
I'm going to skip to chapter 1, which
Yeah.
kind of works well with what you had shared, Sean, is that with the investment process, there's a lot of emphasis on analysis and technical expertise. But as you were alluding to, Sean, is that there's an importance to consider our faith and perhaps some reflection of what this means for the common good. But it shouldn't be, it's incomplete with just analytics alone.
Yeah. And I like the call out here that, and I think AJ, you mentioned this in your introduction, that it's not a technical, here's what your asset allocation should be. It's much more of a philosophical approach, which I really respect. And it mentions kind of very well what we've been saying at the end of the first paragraph of the introduction here, that every investment is indispensable, as well as create material capacities for the needed change. Each and every investment gives tangible expression to values that either contribute to the future or forsake it.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's you're either with me or against me. Like there's no alternative. It's either furthering the future or forsaking it.
Yeah.
And so, things I've heard in the investment world, and you would expect this from the secular person in the investment world, but I've heard it from even religious people, that, I don't care what the company does as long as it's a good investment, right? Like as long as it makes sense in terms of, my ratio analysis and the price I'm paying, as long as I think this thing is going up, I couldn't care less what the company is. Or there's no such thing as a bad company, only bad prices is a sort of a truism. And in one context, that's true when your only goal is investment returns, right? I just want number go up. I just want, the highest possible return for the least amount of risk. But that presupposes that you can make these decisions in a vacuum, which you can't. So the point is not high return with any tool. The point is, what are we doing with our money to better society?
I think people can focus on just the now, the element I want this return now. And what you're calling out to is like, well, what about tomorrow? And I think that's what you're, is to give thought of tomorrow, not just like, well, this satiates me now of whatever.
And it's interesting because a lot of people will be saving for retirement, or they'll be putting these monies away for the future. And they think, well, the future's going to be better if I have more money. But they don't necessarily think, is the future going to be better if I've given money to a bunch of these companies that actually don't in any way, shape, or form embody the values that I believe in, and embody the values that I actually think make life worth living.
Yeah, does it build a future in which is alignment with the flourishing of society?
Yeah, are you is the way that you're saving for retirement going to lead you to enjoy life when you're in retirement? I think is a very good question to ask yourself, because you can invest in companies that are doing terrible things to the environment. If you liked hiking, well, they just clear cut whatever. Or if you have certain ideas about how the world should run and how education should be, but everybody's pushing all sorts of different ideologies or promoting different things that are very contrary to the value of the human person, well, not to be like stereotypical, but you hear a lot of people, like older people, who are just like very upset with how the world is. And it's like, well, yes, this is true, but like how much of your money went into the companies that ended up actually really promoting these
Did you
things
participate
and benefiting
in
from them? Yeah. Like we can't just remove ourselves from the world. That's not what's being advocated for. The thing that I actually loved the most with this document was this call to action to live in it and change it. And yeah, one of my friends very recently, he mentioned, because he was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to stay in Canada for super long, and I've had other conversations with people who are like, I don't know if finance is a place to be for me. And it's like, well, like, what is it that actually bothers you about, be it finance or be it the country that you're living in, and who's going to make that change, right? Because if you're aware that you don't like it, do you not then have like a moral calling to do something about it and to change it and to be the change? Because who else is going to do it?
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of like the conversation about, you can complain about the problem. Well, why not, instead of complain about the problem,
go
be
and
part of
solve
the
it.
solution?
Yeah.
Yeah, or as a shareholder, you have an obligation to voice your concerns about the way a company is run, or about the social projects that the management decides to support and not, and how many people have forsaken that obligation because it's too hard, it's difficult, and these companies have been turned in a direction that the shareholders would not like. It's the same thing about your friend who's saying, okay, there's troubles in Canada. Instead of trying to do something about it, I'm just going to leave.
Yeah. And I think, like where can we see this desire for accumulation the most? I think it's in a lot of the ways. Like, people, if all you want to do is accumulate money, then you're going to say, okay, well, what does every person need in order to actually be able to do that? And it's both basic needs. So strategically, you'd want to turn basic needs into an asset class, which I think is starting to be done, and we've seen it being happening when people turn residential housing into an investment. And that's, I mean, here in Vancouver, we're the victims of that, because so much development has been done just for like these shoebox developments where all you really do is, they're not meant for people to live in. They're meant as an investment vehicle. And yeah, who knows? We don't know what the future's like, but the real estate market's actually really bad right now. And the economy as a whole is very bad right now. But if you look at what's really gone on and like pulled the economy through, a lot of it's been housing. And that's not something that is productive in itself. It's something that enables productivity. And so I think
there's some nuance there, though.
Yeah.
Well, the real estate investor who is developing and building is productive.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah.
And that's a good thing. People need places to live. Part of the problem or part of the reason why houses are so expensive, because there aren't enough houses for all the people that want to live here. And if you can, take a bare plot of land or an old falling down house and rebuild something new and beautiful where people want to live, like, that's a good thing.
Yeah. But
there is also just this speculative, unproductive real estate investment, which sort of like the house flipping, right? Yeah. I'm going to go in, I'm going to change the walls and the floors, and I'm just going to flip it to someone else and get my, in Canada, tax-free gains.
Yeah.
Which you haven't really done anything, right? You haven't really, increased the housing stock, or you haven't really, materially made that real estate market any better in any shape or form.
Yeah.
So it's not that, like, to use your example, not that all real estate investment is bad, or that all economic activity in housing is bad. Yeah. Like, a lot of it can be good and can really build up the community in a positive way.
Yeah.
But there are definitely certain aspects of it that do not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more of like the paradigm of, if you're viewing a basic need as an asset, like, what are you in there for?
I think what you guys are calling out is like productivity and speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of your example. If I were to one up your example, Sean, is that
one up away?
It's like all these big condo towers are being built, and you just buy one of those, and then you just basically hoping to buy it in a pre-sale and hope
Oh,
that
I'm
the
going to
price
buy the
goes up.
pre-sale. Yeah, and buy sell before it's even sold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, like that.
What are we even
that's
doing
pure
here?
Speculation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just a whole bunch of people did it at the same time, and like so a whole bunch of people have made up like even things worse for themselves now, being further in debt or based on the valuation there. But that's not on the basis of productivity; it's on the basis of speculation.
Yeah, and this is a very local example that I think hits home for us in Vancouver, so I bring it up. But I think it is a good case study for other people to understand, because there's a part of me when people say, "Oh, I'd like to move away," it's like, well, a lot of people around the world have this idea of money is an end in itself. That's what's going to bring me happiness. And part of the reason why I say, well, don't leave is because like everywhere else, I think it is going to have to face this issue and this conflict at some point, because it's not a question of economics. It's actually a question of morals and philosophy of what do we believe is worth pursuing? What do we believe is worth giving up in order to have in the future? And across the world, we see this very much shift towards, I want to accumulate for myself, right? I invest to have more, as opposed to I want to do things for the good. I want to live for what is best.
And so I'm thinking of like that condo flipping endeavor versus considering your investments, investing in a company that is creating more jobs.
Yeah.
Creating opportunity which young people have an opportunity to build a life in which they can support a family so that they can be productive.
Yeah.
And perhaps given the opportunity to hone their particular professional craft, create an opportunity in which they can be entrepreneurial.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like when so much speculation goes into real estate, which is really just like your ability to have a place to work. If you have to work for half the month to have a place to work, then you take away so much incentive for people to start these small businesses.
Yes.
And to your point, I think small businesses are a great place for people to develop their very personal and individual strengths. At large companies, like they 100% have a purpose, don't get me wrong. But in these large companies, you will typically get much more standard practices that, while they do build people up, you don't get to have that same amount of personal expression that you get to see in a smaller business, where that person's much more wholly integrated into the
You
business.
mean their humanness
There we
is
go.
more
Love it.
expressed, yes. Well, and also, I think the point you're getting at, AJ, is that there are a finite amount of investment dollars, and for every one of those investment dollars that goes into unproductive speculation, it takes it away from where it could have been productive capital, doing something productive and providing income for people, as opposed to just building up someone's fixed asset net worth.
Right. And I mean, you also speak of the challenge for young people,
Yeah.
Anthony, is that if now you have all of these homes
Yeah.
where they can't provide basic needs, well, then that creates the element of like, why bother? Why am I going to
Yeah.
be productive?
Yeah.
And then we're not helping the circumstance anymore.
Yeah. 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 No, I totally agree. We are at 43 minutes, and I think our banter was quite good. So I'm going to propose that we do a second part of the introduction right after this, but we'll end this podcast, or this part of the podcast now, and do a second half. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds great.
Sweet. All right. Thank you for listening. I'm Anthony.
I'm Sean.
I'm AJ.
Tune in for next week.
This podcast has been prepared by Sean Gregory, who is a portfolio manager, AJ Sanson, and Anthony De Lazari, who are associate investment advisors for IA Private Wealth Inc. Opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the portfolio manager and investment advisors only, and do not necessarily reflect those of IA Private Wealth Inc. IA Private Wealth Inc. is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund and the Canadian Investment Regulatory Organization. IA Private Wealth is a trademark and business name under which IA Private Wealth Inc. operates.